Welcome to Marksman's Woodshop. Today, I'm really excited to introduce you to the Harvey Alpha 110S 4 horsepower industrial cabinet saw. In this episode, we're going to do a complete assembly with some fine tuning as we go. The owner's manual was pretty helpful, and I strongly suggest reading it and referring back to it whenever necessary. Getting started on this project, I have unboxed everything and taken an inventory of all the parts. Next, I will lay everything out so it is easy to see and find what is needed for the next step. So the first thing I'm going to do is install the factory blade so I can use this as a reference to align the table saw top to the blade. This will also perfectly align the miter slots as well. So now that we have our blade installed, I'm going to use a locking rule to measure from the front face of the blade to the edge of the tabletop. This will also align our miter slot. Now we'll slide it to the back side of the blade and make sure that dimension is exactly the same. Now that you have everything aligned perfectly, you can take the provided Allen wrench and tighten the 4 bolts located underneath the top. So our next step is to attach the extension wing. You will see I use some clamps and some hard maple to keep this thing in place, but yet still allow for micro adjustments. Keep in mind, there is a bevel on one side that has to face forward. Now, by using some small shims, I could align the wing perfectly to the top and still make micro adjustments. And then using a level, I could guarantee the transition was perfect. Now that we have the wing and the top surface aligned, we can take the Allen wrench and the 3 cap screws and we can bolt everything together. So there you have it. Your first extension wing is installed and aligned perfectly. Now, it'll be pretty much the same process for the other side. So just a quick recap. We've got our clamps holding our supports. We're going to slide our extension wing into place. We're going to make sure our transition is perfect using adjustments and small shims. Then we're going to take our 3 cap screws and we're going to bolt everything back into place. And there you have it. Both of your extension wings are installed and aligned perfectly. And look at that tin-coated top. Now, let's get to work on the other 2 side extensions. The last 2 extension wings are considerably lighter in weight. They're also recessed just a bit deeper. So I applied the clamps and the support boards to the top surface this time, and then used the provided installation hardware to attach the wings together. As you'll see in the instructions, the last extension wing comes with 2 additional support legs that are adjustable. Now my saw is not mobile, so it has a raised solid platform. Because of that, I had to build a smaller raised solid platform for those 2 adjustable legs. So now let's install the rear rail for the master rip fence system. I have all of the hardware needed laid out in its location, as well as a clamp and a support block, as I'll be doing this by myself. So now we'll lift the rail into position, allowing one side to rest on the temporary support and bolting the other side into place, but not tightening the bolts just yet. So now that you have all of the hardware installed in its locations, but not yet tightened, you're going to want to assemble your MG36 miter gauge that comes with your saw. Insert it into the miter slot and move it forward, making sure that it does not interfere with the rear rail. So now that we have everything aligned and there is no interference, you can go ahead and tighten all of the hardware for the rear rail of the fence system. Once again, using a temporary support, let's go ahead and attach the front rail of this master rip fence system. So now that we have everything aligned and there is no interference, we're going to grab our 13mm wrench and socket and we're going to tighten all of the hardware for the front side of this fence system. The next step in the assembly is to attach the on-off switch to the underside of the front rail, using the hardware and the Allen wrench provided. Next up is the installation of the overarm dust collection. There are two small brackets that mount to the underside of the rear fence rail. Now that we have the brackets installed, let's install the hangers, but leave the bolts loose as we'll have to slide the tubing through them. Now you can take the tubing with the smaller end on the bottom and feed it through both of the brackets. To add the riving knife and the overhead dust collection unit, pull back on the little pin and then slide the riving knife and unit down until it clicks, locking the pin back in place. Now just simply connect the dust tube. Alright, it's that time. The last remaining component. Let's install the master rip fence. This has to be by far one of the smoothest and most accurate fence systems I have ever used. So that's the assembly of the Harvey Alpha 110S industrial cabinet saw. There will still be some minor fine-tuning based on each user's individual preferences. So I hope you have found part 1 of the Ultimate Workstation series to be helpful. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you all very soon.